Radio Silence is back with their new movie Abigail, the collective that made some independent horror movies like Hellbound, some segments in the VHS horror anthology series, and Devil's Due, to making their studio debut with Ready or Not, and then continuing with Scream 5 and 6, and now Abigail. Everything I have seen from them so far has been fantastic, and Abigail is no exception. This movie is a very inventive take on the vampire subgenre, and it is a subgenre where some new fresh ideas are needed. And with this movie, it is exactly what we get. Radio Silence gives us a very fun and gory movie, with the very fresh idea of having a 10-year-old girl being a vampire, also giving us some very funny dialogue between the characters and very well written scenes and situations in the script without compromising the horror of it all. Sure, this movie is more on the lighter side of horror, but that is their style, and if you are not into having comedy at all in your horror movies, then this is not for you. But for me, this is the style that made me think they would be a good choice for the Scream franchise before they were even announced. And they did very well with their two movies in that franchise. It is a hard thing to mix horror and comedy and hit the right notes and beats of it, but they really do well with this style of horror movies. And it is a skill to balance comedy and horror without going too far with the comedy to where it becomes a parody. But now I will go over the story of this movie, so there will be spoilers for it if you have not seen it yet. 6 criminals capture ballet dancer Abigail, the daughter of a powerful underworld figure within New York City, and bring her to a secluded mansion upstate. The group, led by informant Lambert, is told not to disclose any personal information amongst themselves or to Abigail, using only aliases derived from the Rat Pack. The group consists of former army medic and recovering drug addict Joey, former NIPD detective Frank, wealthy hacker Sammy, sociopathic driver Dean, Marine sniper Rickles, and dim-witted Canadian mob enforcer Peter. After 24 hours, each will receive a $7 million check, so long as Abigail is kept safe. Joey is sent to watch over her, and as they bond, Joey reveals that she has a son. When Joey leaves, Abigail warns her about what will transpire during the night. After Dean unsuccessfully flirts with Sammy, he enters the basement and is dragged away by an unseen assailant. Sammy hears his screams and investigates only to find Dean's headless corpse. Frank confronts Abigail and demands to know who her father is, finding out that Abigail's father is Christophe Lazar, a feared crime lord. Rickles try to leave, but the home's security system activates and bars them inside. As they look for another way out, Rickles is mauled to death. Frank tells Peter to kill Abigail only for Joey to intervene. During the altercation, Abigail suddenly transforms into a vampire, causing the group to flee in terror. Distressed, the group discusses how to kill Abigail, as bullets don't physically harm her. Frank, Peter, and Sammy find Abigail dancing with Dean's body and use garlic, stakes, and holy crosses, but each prove unsuccessful. They regroup once more, and Joey suggests using a tranquilizer Lambert had given them earlier for the kidnapping. They manage to tranquilize Abigail and lock her in an elevator, though not before she manages to bite Sammy on the arm. Upon awakening, Abigail reveals she knows the kidnappers' identities, and that Lambert set them up for her to kill because they all wronged Christophe. In turn, Joey deduces Abigail has been killing her father's enemies in an attempt to win his love. They leave Frank in charge of watching her. Abigail easily breaks out of the makeshift cage and starts choking him. Joey rips wooden planks off a window and exposes Abigail to the sunlight, which turns out to be her only weakness. With only hours left before nightfall, the group splits up to find a way out. However, Sammy suddenly turns into a vampire under Abigail's control and feeds on Peter before killing him. Abigail then has Sammy attack Frank and Joey, forcing Joey to destroy Sammy with reflected sunlight. Hoping to deactivate these security measures, Joey and Frank find the mansion's control room and run into Lambert, who is revealed as a vampire. Lambert explains he was turned by Abigail for betraying her father and offers to turn Frank to help him kill Abigail. Frank accepts but stakes Lambert after he turns and overpowers Abigail before drinking her blood, enhancing his new abilities. He then tells Joey that he intends to turn her into a vampire, under his control after biting her. During the fight, Abigail rescues Joey and the two team up, eventually managing to stake the inexperienced Frank. With Frank dead, Joey is freed from the vampire's curse, until Abigail's father shows up and threatens her. Abigail manages to stand up to her father and reveals that Joey saved her life. He relents and permits Joey to leave. Upon departing the estate to reunite with her son, Joey treats herself to a lollipop. So that was the story of Abigail, and I thought this was yet another great horror film by Radio Silence. They are now 4 out of 4 for me, and I think they are really making their mark in the horror genre. Now that we don't have pioneers like John Carpenter, Wes Craven or William Friedkin anymore, it's good that we are getting new talent like Radio Silence, Jordan Peele, Ari Aster and Robert Eggers, who seem to be taking over as the new faces of the horror genre, if they keep making quality movies like they have for years to come. But back to Abigail, this is a movie where you are reintroduced to the vampire subgenre, and it is a very welcome addition to the vampire subgenre. And I actually think Radio Silence would be a good choice for a modern version of Dracula. Sure, there is a Nosferatu movie coming out this year too, with Robert Eggers directing, but it would be nice to get a Universal Monsters version Dracula in a new take. This movie proves they can add some fresh ideas to the vampire genre, and I think they would also do that for a Universal Monsters Dracula movie. Abigail is quite fast-paced, but you get those slower moments in the movie where you get to know the characters and why they are willing to kidnap a 10-year-old girl. The performances here are also great from each and every cast member. They are all good, but the two that stand out in this movie are Melissa Barrera as one of the kidnappers and Alicia Weir as Abigail. They both stand out in their own ways, and especially impressive is the performance from Alicia Weir, who is 14 and she really shows some serious acting talent in this movie. She portrays Abigail as both innocent in story beats where the character needs to be innocent, but also vicious in the scenes where she needs to be brutal, and she quite rapidly switches between the two in a credible way.
Please let me out. I'm scared.
Cut the shit. You're really good at pretending to be a little girl.
Thank you.
Quick question. Who's inside a cage right now?
I think Alicia Weir will have a quite good future as an actress. She is very talented. Melissa Barrera shows again after Scream 6 that she can carry a movie as the lead character, and she is also great in this. Another great performance from her. The cinematography in this is also great, with a lot of reds, oranges and yellows that really work to set the mood in the movie. The editing is quite fast-paced without compromising on comprehension of the scenes and what is happening in them. The supporting cast is also great in this. We get Dan Stevens, who is known for Downton Abbey and most recently Kong and Godzilla: The New Empire. And we also get Catherine Newton, who is, despite her quite young age, a very experienced horror actress, and she is good in this one too. The movie is great overall, but I do think it has a weak third act and an ending where it would have helped if they had written another draft before they started shooting. There are some things in that third act that don't make sense, are a bit too long, and then the ending kind of feels too happy for what has transpired in this story. But overall, this was a great addition to the vampire genre. I'm giving this movie a 7 out of 10. If you liked this video, please like, share and subscribe. This has been Boogeyman Cinema. Thank you for watching. If you have seen Abigail, what are your thoughts on the movie?